Hey guys, I'm the 50s kid. This is my E46 BMW and it vibrates a little bit as I'm driving around town, particularly at a stoplight. You got your foot on the brake, you're stopped at a stoplight. A little bit of vibration just kind of gets transferred into the body of the car, and that's mostly due to the transmission. As automatic transmissions wear over the years, you know, the valve bodies wear and that kind of produces vibrations. I've had the valve body rebuilt, but this doesn't restore it to 100% brand new factory conditions. So there's still some vibration, and at this point I'm thinking that perhaps the engine mounts might be a little too old, the engine mounts and the transmission mounts, and they might be transferring a few too many vibrations into the chassis. So what I want to do in this video is replace them with brand new components. I actually have the M3 engine mounts in here. Those are a little bit stiffer, and originally I was thinking, oh, if they're stiffer, they're better. But now I'm thinking the opposite. You know, a stiffer transmission mount is going to transfer more vibrations. It's not going to absorb as much. So I'm going to switch back to the OEM parts and throw some fresh transmission mounts in there as well. And you know, if you're interested, stay tuned. So let's get started. So if you have an automatic transmission, you're going to have a fan, an engine fan, that is directly connected to the water pump. And since in order to remove the engine mounts, we need to actually jack the engine up, that's going to cause the fan to hit the fan shroud, and that's not going to be good. So you actually have to get the fan and the fan shroud out. In my case, I've already converted over to the electric fan from the manual transmission, so that's not going to be an issue for me. I'm not going to need to take the fan out, but if you need to know how, I have a whole video on that and I will link it down in the description. For me, I'm just going to need to take off this scoop right here because, again, engine lifts up, it's going to lift this up, and that's going to interfere. So I'm going to take this out and make sure that the bolts for this are loose. I think I keep them loose because they squeak if I put them in, so that should be fine. If I take this out, this will just kind of lift up naturally, and that won't be a big deal. So it's just these guys. Pull them up like here. And get that out. I think I'm going to also take this out as well because this actually has a piece down here that's going to hit up against something. This won't lift up too high, so at the very least, I'm going to disconnect it back here. So that's just a 6mm on this hose, and you can just pull it off the back of the mass airflow sensor. That's enough. I could just sort of leave this in, but I'll remove it anyway because it's super easy. Now the engine can pretty much be jacked up as much as I need it to until it obviously hits this cowling right here. The only two things that are going to be strained would be this hose here and this coolant hose right here. Now, just fair warning, if yours are really old, or if, I mean, who knows? There's a chance that you could kind of tweak something and you could get some coolant leakage. So just be aware of that and just be vigilant. And you know, it shouldn't happen, but if it does, just be aware of it. You might need to fix that. So yeah. So it's a good thing we removed the airbox. We actually needed to remove it in order to get access to the engine mount nut on the top of the engine mount there. So let me zoom in on that so you see where it is. See it right there? Hiding right there, that's the top engine mount nut. So you got to get that out. That's a 16mm, and we're going to do that right now. So all you really need is a breaker bar and an extension, I guess. I'm going to use this sort of a long ratchet that I have and use that to break that nut loose. Boom, that's it. So I actually forgot that I have this tool now. I could have just used this tool to break it loose and get it off there. Slightly harder to get it in, but totally possible. Boom, there we go. Love that tool. You gotta remember that I have it. In case you couldn't see, this was the tool I was talking about. Milwaukee's new 2569-20 is the long, the extended length, high-speed ratchet. So the nut on this side is a little bit more difficult. It's real easy to see. It's right down there. There's nothing in the way, nothing you need to remove. It's just you're gonna have to have a lot of extensions. You're gonna pull out every extension you own in order to get down to it. And because it's kind of cocked at a little bit of an angle, you need some kind of a swivel socket in order to do it. So I actually have this little kind of swivel socket from Harbor Freight. You can use that style. That one's gonna work just fine. Okay. Another option would be this style swivel socket, also from Harbor Freight. Just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be an expensive one. I also have this style in case you have a set. This is more of a professional thing. Nobody's going to have that, but just to show you the different ones that they make. But this one works. I kind of like it because it doesn't swivel too much. like the other universal sockets. So I believe I should be able to get mostly on this bolt. Yeah, see, I can get right down there at such an angle and get on it. And you see how the angle goes there. So yeah, that's about it. And what do I have on there? I've got a 9-inch, a 6-inch, and a 3-inch. Along with that, I guess it's a 1-inch. So that's about how much extension I need. And you know, perhaps this extra 3-inch isn't really necessary. I could kind of go down there like that. So just to give you an idea of what you need. Now, there we go. See? And there goes the sockets. Ooh, came right out. And the nut is just laying there. So the thing about this engine is it's a little bit heavier to this side because it's tilted this way. So it's kind of heavier to this side. So if you undo both at the same time and lift the engine up, it's going to tend to lift like this. This side is going to lift up a little bit higher. And that's good for getting this engine mount out, but bad for getting this one out. So to do this one, you really want to have this one bolted down. That way it pivots like this. You know, it kind of does one of those. So what I've done here is I just showed you how to get both off, but I've tightened the other one, the other engine mount bolt back down on this side. I'm going to go under, we're going to just lift it up. We'll do this side first, bring it back down, put that bolt on, and then undo this one, lift it up, one at a time basically. So in order to jack the engine up, I got to get this aluminum stiffening plate out of here. And those are 16s, there's going to be 8 of them. And I could use a manual ratchet to do it, but I have this tool, so I'm going to use it. It's really loud, so I've got the hearing protection on, I've got eye protection on in case some stuff falls on me, I've got face mask, I've got face shield, athletic protector, I've got all kinds of protections, so let's get this going. This does need to come out because it's kind of in the way. Number 2s. So much quicker and easier to get out than the E90. Guys, I want to point out that I have my car jacked up on all 4 jack stands. I always do that. I think that's the safest way. Nice level surface, 4 jack stands. This thing can't possibly roll away or anything and hurt me. So yeah, that's the way I like to do it. All right, so you are going to need that swivel socket in order to get on the engine mount nut. It's just at a very, very slight angle right here. You get it through this large hole right here. There we go. All right, so I've got a little piece of 2x4 to kind of help spread the load a little bit. So I'm placing the center of my jack sort of more to this side rather than right in the middle because I want the engine to kind of lever up a little bit. So I'm going to do it this way. Now let me go in there and test, see if I can get that mount out, and I think I can. Yes, I can. And that's all it takes is just that little bit. Let's see where we can get this out. Ooh. This might be one of those situations where... No, okay, we're good. Wasn't remembering if that thing came out of there or not without taking the suspension down. By the way, just as a visual, look at the old mount versus the new mount. See how much more collapsed down it is? So, you know, these things wear down after a little while. Pretty interesting. But of course, when they go really bad, they kind of, you can see the difference between the M3 mount and the regular engine mount. This kind of center portion, it tears out of there after a while, and then you have no engine mount. Basically, you're just sitting on your rubber right there, but there's no actual rubber connecting these two pieces, and you know that's when you get a lot of rattle and you know, all those problems. This is the M3 mount, and it's you know, it's still intact, but it's sunken down in. So the engine mount goes this side down, okay, and you see there's a little nub right here. That's going to lock into a hole. So you're going to turn it until you kind of feel it lock in there. A little bit of a dance to get this thing in. When we let the engine down, we got to make sure that it comes down right onto the stud on that engine mount. So doing it one side at a time is definitely going to help with that. I think if I just let this down, it kind of seems already like it's naturally fallen down into place. But I'm going to move this aside and get in there, make sure that I can see that. I'm not going to put my finger under it. I'm going to reach up over it and make sure that, yeah, it is nicely into place. If you do both sides at the same time, you're going to have a lot more trouble with that. So we'll get this nut back on. Torque to spec. All right, guys, on this side, it's very similar. In fact, it's identical. Oops, this is the wrong way. Okay, so I've got the jack positioned into place, and we're gonna start jacking. I hope it goes without saying, I already, put the engine mount nut back on the other side and removed it on this side, on the top. So we should be good there. So one issue here is that I can already see the body lifting up a little bit. So that's no good. And I think we actually don't have enough, we don't have enough lift already. Kind of an issue. I hate when that happens. So I think we need to go back and try again somehow. Maybe I need to get a little bit more over to this side when I'm jacking up the engine. Maybe go a little bit towards the front of the engine, a little bit more, so I can get more lift. Now you don't want to be too far on this side of the engine because the jack might slip out. You do not want that to happen. So make sure that that jack is centered under the engine. So at this point, we're already lifting the body of the car. So let's see, are we good? We're like almost good. This is the pain sometimes of doing this. All right, we got it out. Sometimes you just gotta manhandle it. Cool, so there is that shield. It is gonna go basically pointed towards the catalytic converters, Usually there's a little thing pointing down on the shield that's gonna lock into the top of the engine mount. Mine is broken off. I'll show you where. See one of these two little nubs, it'll hook down into one of those nubs and that'll help you locate the thing. By the way, this points forward just to help you orient it. So now the fun part for me is I try to get this in here. You basically got to thread the hole. You got to get this top stud into the mount on top and then kind of push in the bottom one. Okay, I need a little more, which I don't think I'm gonna get. This particular one is, since the mount is a little bit longer than the old one, it's actually not quite as high. So that's a little bit of an issue. I think I'm going to try coming a little bit more to the side and a little bit farther forward just to see if I can get a little more pivot. Yeah, that did the trick for me. I don't like having my hand between the engine mount and the bottom of the mount at all, just in case this slips. I really don't like that. So I'm going to get a little pry bar, see if I can tap the engine mount in just a little bit, just to where it needs to be. I think what it is the whole engine is pushed a little too much this way, and it's not letting the mount pivot down this way. That's my problem here. Yeah, it's just because the mount is hitting the side of the body of the car here. Oh, okay. So what I did was I pushed my jack a little bit this way, and then I saw that moved the engine a little bit. That should have moved things perhaps away from the body of the car a little bit. No, not enough. Okay, so I've repositioned the wood and the jack a little bit. My hope is that this repositioning will get us something. All right, we're lifting the car at this point. Ah, perfect. Okay. That time I was able to shift the engine a little bit and the thing popped right down in where it's supposed to be. That nub is even locked in where it's supposed to be. So now I'm going to lower and hopefully this thing comes down right on the hole where it's supposed to be. And I'm not sure that it did. I'm going to reach up over top and I can feel that it didn't. So we're still in a little bit of danger here. And we're going to need to move the engine in such a way that it'll pop over that bolt where it needs to. All right, so we're lifting the car again. I'm gonna go up top and see how I need to push the engine in order to get it done. I see I need to push the engine over towards the passenger side, but also we just sort of need to push the engine mount a little bit. So the easiest way to do this will be underneath. Just sort of hold the outside of the engine mount with my hand while I release the thing. You gotta make sure that you're holding this side like this and tilting the engine mount like this so that you can get it lined up into place. As you lower the engine, you don't want to be touching the top of it, of course. Now, you guys are kind of in my way here, so I gotta reposition you. This time, I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Much easier. So yeah, I can totally see what I'm doing here. And all I have to do is sort of hold the mount like up a little bit, sort of midway between the top and the bottom. And now it's totally right into place. And where I'm holding it, there's no danger. Even if the jack fell, I'm not gonna get pinched on anything. And that's how you wanna hold it. So I'm gonna hold it right about there and then release the jack with my other hand. Bring it down slowly. Just like that, right into place. Very nice. Took a couple tries, but we got it done. All right, let's get these bolts on. Why does this angle seem so much different than the other one? Angle is like super off. There we go. Okay. Good to go. All right, top engine mount nut. Put that guy down in there. All right, just because I have it within reach, I'll use this guy. Just tight is good, you know? And yeah, we're done with the engine mounts. So now it's time to do the transmission mounts. Those ones are a little fun. All right, the transmission mounts are an interesting challenge. We have the jack positioned underneath the transmission pan, piece of wood right there, nicely positioned. I've just taken up the slack on the, I've just taken up the weight, meaning I jacked it up just until I see it moved ever so slightly. So now not really all the weight is resting on the mount and everything. So first we're gonna get the mount out of here and then we'll be able to actually get the, well, first we'll be able to get this sort of support bracket out and then we'll get the actual mounts out, one on either side. So everything's 13s. Just gonna get these loose. Okay, now we can just pull and get that guy out. Okay, so now we have our two mounts, which are right here. and there are nuts on the top of them. It's a 13mm wrench, and you kind of have to go sideways in order to get on the nut up there. So for me, see, I don't really have a lot of swing right there. Very limited. So let me try this side of the wrench. Yeah, that's good. Now, to get a little extra length on your wrench, you can double up your wrench. Show you what that looks like. You go like this, you get a second wrench, you go like this, and then you've got some extra angle, but we gotta go actually the other way. So in order to loosen, is that, no, actually I was right the first way. Man, this is confusing me. Okay, this way, boom. Now that's cracked loose, which is great. All we have to do is maybe turn it 1 or 2 turns, and then it's gonna slide off because it's forked on the end. It's like this. So all you have to do is loosen it, and boom, you're good. So that's what we got to do for that one, and the same for this one. We'll come in from the other angle, and we might need to rotate the, put that thing in. So we'd have to put it in neutral in order to move the drive shaft a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can do this one more time without doing that. Yeah, I think I wanna move the drive shaft just because this nut on the drive shaft here is in my way. So just shift it in the neutral and we'll be able to rotate it. All right, we're good now. Yeah, now I can rotate it. Now I can get the wrench on, and I can get just enough of a swing to get this thing loose. Stupid angles, man. Okay, we got that one. I was kind of slipping off of it a little bit. You see I've got some marks on the edge of that bolt, so I will have to be careful. You can see these were old, these were cracking. See that damage there? Yeah, these needed to be replaced for sure. So good thing I'm doing it. And that gives you an idea of how long they've lasted. I don't know how many years it's been, but quite a few. Here's the other one, damaged in a very similar way. There's your part number. Brand new. Okay. So when this goes in, this nub goes towards the outside, and that helps locate it. Kind of similar to the front engine mount, but it goes on the top like that. That nut that has all the chowder marks, I'm going to put it on the other side because that side I have a little bit better angle towards. This isn't quite in the way. So I'm going to do it like that. Get this as tight as I can with my fingers. So yeah, I have long pattern wrenches, and maybe that's doing me a little disservice here. It's making things a little more difficult just because of what's here, the obstructions. So maybe you'll find it easier with regular wrenches. Okay, well, I think that's gonna hold. Same thing. Okay, I got that so many more turns than I got this one, so I wanna double back here. Oh, actually, that would be the wrong way, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would. Actually, no, I think this one's tight, so all right, we're good. Let's get this back in. Get them all started first. It's easier that way. All right, hang on. We gotta get up a little more. All right. Cool, we're done. All right, let's just make extra sure that this bolt is tight. I know I tightened it, but make sure it's perfect. Get down on. Oh yeah, that one's definitely tight. Okay, I remember tightening the other side, but this side, let's make sure that it's good. Oh yeah, it's definitely good. We're good to go there. Reinstall this. Move this guy here. Ring clamps right here. Just like that. That goes there. And finally this. I think this one's done. Okay. That's it. That's the last thing. So I just got done taking it for a test drive and feels like a whole new car. Problem is definitely solved. I'm super happy with it now. I feel no more vibrations, so it's all good. It's not too bad of a job. As you saw, you only need standard tools to do it. The only specialty tool you really need is that swivel socket, which you can easily get at a Harbor Freight, so not too bad. You can definitely do this yourself and it'll make your car feel like a brand new car. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.